Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rodney's Life Lessons. Today I'm going to talk about angels, spirits, guides, and everything else that I can sort of tie together in that spirit realm. I'm going to speak from personal experience. I'm going to speak from knowledge that I've ascertained through reading the dozens and dozens of spiritual books, all books of people like Rolling Thunder and Mad Bear and Keisha Ray Crowther, Little Grandmother, and Sandra Ingerman. Speak from experience. I've had Sandra Ingerman personally journey for me. I've had Keisha Ray Crowther work on me several times. So I'm speaking somewhat from I don't know if you want to call it educated, but an experienced view, and from the knowledge that I've actually lived many of these encounters. Firstly, I'm not religious. I was for 12 years of my life. I went to church and did the whole church thing. But now I'm what I would call very spiritual. I believe in a higher power. I believe that we are here to evolve our soul. And I also believe that we are God in human form. Because every one of us experiences life somewhat differently. So this is a different experience for Creator. And when you reach a certain level of your spiritual walk, you will realize this. You will realize this. I've also have extensive experience with plant medicine. I've been shown things. I've been spoken to by literal gods, and psilocybin, 5-MeO-DMT. 5-MeO-DMT, they call it God particle. And I took over a dozen people, mostly addicts, through ceremony with this powerful, powerful plant medicine. The beautiful thing with 5-MeO is it's called the God particle because when you're, like when I was doing this, it's, oh my God, this can help people. Because you literally feel in every cell of your body, you tingle with Creator energy. You realize, you actually feel it. You feel it through every cell of your body that you are Creator, God, whatever you want to call it, having a human experience. And why this is so powerful is when you realize this, then your worldly problems become very small. These things that were overwhelming you and just anxiety and stress and depression, they become very, very small because you realize your true divinity. So I have some knowledge, experience, teachings on the topic of angels, guides, and the spiritual realm. My personal interactions with angels, I mean, it started when I was going to church. I would pray. There was times that on my own accord, I would go out, I would take a thermos of coffee, my Bible, and a prayer book. And I would go in my car and find a very, very remote area. And all night long, I would go out and I would pray. I'd be walking around in the dark, usually a park or something, somewhere where there's no other people. I'd be singing, I'd be praying. And I always asked that Creator, my God, Jesus, I says, show me how to be a better man. And every single time I did this, usually as the sun was breaking all night, like there's a commitment to this, I would have an epiphany. There would be a little click in my mind and I would be shown something. It's like, oh, wow, that's so amazing. So I put in the time. I've done the work, and now, praise be to Creator, I feel like I'm living a life of peace, living the life that we are destined to live. We're not here to work, earn money, buy a car, a house, reproduce. No, we're here to evolve our soul. And it's just a beautiful thing when you can find a partner like I have with my beautiful wife that is on the same path, because it does speed things up. So initially I had that interaction through church. And then I stepped away from church and became very, very spiritual. 2015, 2016, I moved to Arizona. And I was being taught by a Navajo medicine woman, very powerful. Holy cow, very, very powerful. And I asked her to, I've shared this in my other video, I asked her to fast track me. And she kind of, "Are you sure, Rodney?" I says, "Yes, Lavina, I am sure." She goes, "Okay." And so she did. And it's not something I would recommend. It's really not. Almost killed me. It was a very, very hard several years. You literally need to be broken so you can be built back up. Because what we think should and how we think should is pretty opposite to what Creator and our higher powers want us to be. We have an idea, and then there's the reason we're here idea. So it wasn't too long after I'd asked her to fast track me, and I started getting spiritually attacked. And this is because I'm bursting into the spirit realm, right? And I have no protection, I have no knowledge, I have no prayers or anything to help me. I'm just being thrust, right? Like a freaking rocket ship. I'm going up. And I'm on the tip of this rocket, screaming as I'm being accelerated in this spiritual walk. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm very, very grateful that I did ask for it. But holy cow, people, what a ride. Strapped to the end of a rocket, I'm telling you. So I was getting spiritually attacked, and I tried everything I knew. I tried smudging, I tried praying, and nothing would work. And to those who haven't been spiritually attacked, hopefully you never will be spiritually attacked. But here's the thing. When you choose to walk the spiritual path, the red road, the good way, you are now an enemy of the dark way. So you've now entered the battle. You've now entered the battlefield. Before you were just a bystander and you had no influence. You weren't a player kind of thing. But when you choose that, now you have an adversary. This is the dark side. And I'll get into that with fallen angels and stuff like that. So I was being spiritually attacked. It feels like someone's standing outside your door with a machete and they're about to break it open and there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. It's terrifying. So I called my partner and didn't really have any solutions and recommended calling first name Michelle. Lives on the reservation, Fort Defiance. A very powerful medicine woman in her own right, very gifted. And so I did. And she said, pray to Archangel Michael. And without a word of a lie, I said, I'm not effing religious. I swore, right? We had a very casual relationship, and I had the liberty of being able to speak to her like that. So I said, I'm not effing religious. And she goes, neither effing is he. And I laughed, right? And then I prayed to Archangel Michael, and poof, it stopped. Absolutely stopped. Another time I had a similar situation like this. When I had just had my accident in the hospital, the one where I lost my arm, I was having these horrific waking sort of nightmares from the morphine drip that I was on. You don't know if you're awake, sleeping, dreaming, halfway in between, and I was having these gruesome, horrific, visual, waking nightmares. And I was not religious. I was 19 years old. I was partying, shooting up cocaine. I was just a party, redneck, logger kind of guy. And yet my spirit knew that to reach out to Creator, God, whatever you want to call it. And I says, God, make it stop. And immediately I got a wave of peace that just washed over me. Just immediately. And I never had another waking nightmare during that healing process, ever. This was like a touch, like, holy cow. There's really something out there that works. There's really is a higher power. Because I was not religious growing up. I really wasn't. I was redneck, logger, drinker, biker. I had my own, wasn't a Harley. That's how I lost my arm, was a motorcycle. So I immediately, when I called out to Archangel Michael in Arizona 2015, it stopped. And to this day, every morning, every evening, I open my day and I close my day thanking Archangel Michael and asking him to watch over us and protect us. Now I'm going to talk a little more about angels, archangels, and what my belief, this is only my opinion, so just take this with a grain of salt, but this is from my personal experience, from the education that I've gotten from the elders, from the wisdom keepers. Like I've worked with Susan Stanton doing Zoom calls on Wind Voices, and we had 53 separate Zoom calls that I facilitated all of these. I would send out all the invitations. I would let people into the room. I would edit. I would upload to social media platforms. And Susan pretty much always had me do the closing prayer for this. So there was 53 separate elders and wisdom keepers from around the world that spoke. Like, we're talking some of the most powerful leaders on this planet. Like, I really see the shamanic path, which I believe that I walk, is very hard, very trying, very painful. And the reason for that is you have to go through it before you can teach others how to go through it. You can't just read a book, get a degree, and say, well, this is how you do it. It's like, no, that's not how Creator works. It will help, but it can also lead you astray. Because the people that develop these education programs, they have an agenda. They want you to go one direction. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the correct direction that Creator wants you to go in, right? So each and every one of us are unique souls. We've evolved through thousands of lifetimes. It's very rare where you get two people at the same place, at the same sort of evolutionary progress of their soul. And I believe with my wife I have, and that's such a gift, and I'm so grateful. So with angels, again, just my opinion, we have archangels and we have fallen angels. I've written a little blurb in Facebook called The Fallen. And what I describe in there is very often or not, we'll have thoughts just enter our mind. It's like, where did that come from? Where did that come from, right? And these can be very good, very guiding thoughts that can help us navigate life. But they can also be very destructive, and they can lead us to misery and do acts of violence and sinful life. So what I believe is the archangels, the good guys, and the fallen angels, the bad guys, have the same ability to enter thoughts into our minds. What we choose to follow is the free will, right? This is the choice that we've been given, and we're born with amnesia too. We don't remember the divine beings that we actually are, because we truly are divine beings. We truly are. And it doesn't end when you die. Like 86, when I lost my arm, I died. I stood beside Creator. I stood beside Creator. I was shown things. I was allowed to come back. I believe because I have a mission. And me doing these videos and teaching is part of that mission. I'm a Reiki master, a life coach, wellness coach, death coach. I help people navigate, and this is why I was allowed to come back, because I agreed to do that. So, back to that article I wrote called The Fallen. It's like we have thoughts planted in our minds. And the dark forces, they know our weaknesses. They know our triggers, right? They know what'll set me off. I mean, talk about harming children, and you got a pretty angry daddy bear to deal with. So I've learned that, like social media, Facebook, I've learned to unfollow. Okay, they're trying to trigger me here. It's emotional manipulation to get us into a lower vibrational state that will make us less effective spiritually. Do you understand, folks? Like when we vibrate at a very high frequency, we raise the entire planet a little bit. This is why you have like 1,000,000 monks all meditating at the same time. It's scientifically proven that praying over a meal will change the molecular structure. There is a Japanese scientist. He showed, like, if you have 2 vials of water, same source, and on one you have like hate and all the negative things, and the other one, these are labels, and on the other jar you have love and beauty and all the beautiful things, and you know, you have them separated enough so one can't hear the other. So you for a week, a month, you speak to this jar of water and you say hateful things and negative things, and the other one you say beautiful things and loving, caressing, beautiful things. And then he showed these molecules of water under a microscope, and the ones we spoke angry to was like a sludge. This slurry was all broken up and like a virus, like just disgusting, like brown. And the ones that you'd spoken the beautiful things to, they're very uniform in structure and very beautiful, like your individual snowflakes, right? Very beautiful. So one thing to take from this, if anything, never negative self-speak. Don't ever call yourself down, put yourself down, shame yourself. You are a beautiful creator. You are a divine being. And the world will try and break us down. It really will. So back to the angels. So we have our archangels are good ones and our archangels are bad ones. And I want to put it out there that the bad ones can even fall under the umbrella of demons. Right? These are see, when you realize that the fallen archangels have the same ability as the good archangels to plant seeds into our mind, and if we're susceptible enough to that, they will actually guide us. One good barometer to use is if it's negative, if it's harmful, if it's like destructive, that's from the fallen. I can even entertain that any god that says, if they don't follow my religion, and I'm not going to say the obvious one, then they should be stoned and killed. That is not Creator God, love, and divinity. When I died and crossed over and stood with God on my right side, the love that I felt was the glue that holds the cosmos together. This was the most profoundly beautiful presence, loving feeling that I've ever felt in my life. I don't think that as humans we're capable of feeling that. This is a divine love. This is a creator love. We love our children, we love our partners, but times 1,000. Like, this is the love. This is why people don't want to come back when they cross over. They don't, this is, why would I want to go back to a life filled with pain and anguish and trials and suffering and disappointments when I have this beautiful, overpowering feeling of love? So whenever you think you're being guided by a spirit, by an entity, if it has got any negativity in there, this is the dark side. I'm not even going to argue that. I know this for a fact. I've been taught this. I've read this. Now, there's a difference. You have to defend your children or defend your partner or even, defend your country. These are things that, as the masculine divine, that we do. but you're not cruel or malicious. You do what needs to be done and you back off, right? So, good angels, bad angels. Angels, demons. To me, that's, and okay, so now who are these? Who are these beings? Who are angels? Who are spirit guides? There's many ways that I look at this. And what I do is I don't put all my eggs in one basket. I think that's a good way of being. It's like if you choose to be, say, a certain religious denomination, you need to follow their path. Even if you don't, agree in your soul that that is the right way, if you are a true member of that denomination, you still need to do as they tell you, right? So what I do, like I went to church for over 12 years, and there were some good things that I took from the church. And now as a spiritual man, I've had several indigenous mentors. They've taught me many, many things, but I don't follow one of them exactly, right? This is because each of us, again, we're unique. We are individual spirits having a spiritual experience in a human body. So they can sort of point us in a direction, but they can't, we need to make our own way up that mountain, because each of us, again, is individual, is unique in this two-legged earth walk, as they call it. So to me, angels, it could be advanced human beings. It could be, right? Am I going to say they're this and this and this? No, I am not. They could be aliens, highly evolved aliens that are watching over humans on planet Earth because they care and because we are an evolving species, and how we evolve can affect the entire universe, right? With different vibrational levels will affect everything. This is science, man. Quantum mechanics and quantum physics. When you can separate one object, move it apart 1,000 miles, and you affect the one object, like cut it in half, and you affect the one object, and the other object is affected equally. This is science. This is how we work. Like think of yourself as an individual cell in the universe, and together we all make up the whole universe. So if you have a bunch of really sick cells, you're going to start to get a bunch of illness and sickness that pervades and is the overpowering feeling, right? And this is why I believe a lot of the governing bodies, they want us to live in fear. They want to lower our vibration. They want you to drink alcohol. They want you to do pharmaceuticals. We wear rubber-soled shoes that keep us disconnected from our Mother Earth, right? So there's so many things involved to this, folks. And again, this is just my life lessons, right? This is what I've learned. And I combine like the science, like quantum mechanics and physics, with the spiritual, because they really do combine. And science is finally catching up to be able to see, like, this stuff is real. Like when somebody dies, their body weight reduces very slightly. This is the soul leaving the body. This has been scientifically proven. So angels, I don't know exactly who they are. I don't believe that they are what the Bible says they are. Like the Bible speaks about how they followed ascended in a burning chariot. Or who was it? Moses wandered for 40 years throughout the desert with the tribes, and they followed this burning cloud. Like, to me, there's not much of a reach. These were spacecraft, and I'm not batshit crazy or anything. This is, because back in that day, they didn't know what to call these. Ascended in a burning chariot. I think this is a spaceship, right? But this is my opinion. Now, with spirits, this is, I could do a whole talk just on spirits alone. For a while, I was a member of Vancouver Paranormal Investigations. We went to haunted houses with our very advanced electronic equipment and recording devices, and we monitored spiritual activity. I'm a sensitive, I'm a bit of an empath, right? I can sense things, which is important to have in a team like that. And I remember me and two ladies were at the old spaghetti factory in Gastown in Vancouver, very known to be haunted. And we were sitting in the woman's bathroom. And I said, I feel something. And they right away, they perked up. And I felt like my hairs literally stood up on end. I says, they go, did you hear that? I says, no, I didn't hear anything. And then we played back. A spirit had called out one of the girls' names. So, there are many famous people, George Carlin, Joe Rogan. Do you actually believe, people believe in angels? It's like, well, that's a pretty narrow-minded approach. Because for thousands of years before, we were an entirely spiritual species. It's only been the last 100, 200 years that we've been pulled away from that. And we've been pulled away from that because when we're very spiritual, they can't control us. They can't, with fear and all of these things. So this is by design. Just remember, you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Don't you ever forget that. You're a beautiful soul. And although our problems in the world may seem huge, we are eternal beings. This is just... it's almost not measurable in the scale of how many times we've evolved and died and been reborn, that this one lifetime is so small. And a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in reincarnation. The Bible doesn't talk about that. I'll just touch on this briefly. In the 16th century, the Bible was canonized. They removed 15 books from the Bible. This is called the Apocrypha. In those 15 books, they talk about reincarnation. So they removed parts of the Bible that would allow us to retain our immortality. You would know, I'm an eternal being. This life doesn't carry so much of a burden and I'm going to die. It's you're not going to die. This soul, this body is going to fall and your soul is going to continue. I personally experienced this when I died in 1986. Thoth, the Egyptian god in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, he speaks that if you can learn the secrets of the Emerald Tablets, you gain immortality. And how this is done is you don't suffer amnesia when you die. So this Rodney waking consciousness, I would die and I would more or less, it's I've just crossed over. Well, now I'm entering the body of a Chinese girl, right? And now I'm a Chinese girl, but I still remember everything about what I've just learned on this earth walk, all of the experiences. There's no amnesia. There's no needing to fight through and remember that you're this divine being. You remember it when you're born. A lot of children nowadays are being born this way. Star seeds and stuff like that, they call them. So, and a lot of my teaching comes from the indigenous way. And I believe this is one of the reasons that I'm vegan, is that everything has a soul. Our standing tall brothers and sisters, that's the trees. The rock nation, every animal. If you've ever had pets, and you know that animal has a soul. I know a lot of religious people, see it's a way of people making themselves feel better when they slaughter animals. Well, it's just an animal. No, that's a conscious being. That's a sentient being with a soul. There's no reason to take its life. But I'm not going to get into that, into the more vegan speaking. But you reach a certain level of spirituality where you have a level of respect for all things, all living things. So I could talk for a really long time about this, but I just want to give you something to think about. You're an eternal being. You're a spiritual being having a human experience. Please take life a little lighter. Start meditating. Start praying. Realize that there absolutely is a spiritual world out there. You know, whatever higher power you call to, I don't really care. As long as you're, you know, climbing that mountain, you're making progress. One step after another. You just keep going. Are we going to have bad days? Of course we are. Are we going to have absolutely beautiful days? Of course we are. And the longer you stay on this path, the longer you commit to meditating, to praying every day, to doing the right thing. This is a big one. Like, there's so often we're at crossroads. You can do the wrong thing, which is easier and will get you the benefits that you want, or you can do the right thing, which might make things harder and longer, and you might not get that thing that you want, but you got to do the right thing. Because even if nobody sees you, the Creator sees you, your consciousness sees you, your soul sees you. How are you going to evolve as a soul if you're knowingly making the wrong decisions? Start eating better. Stop drinking excessive amounts of alcohol. Stop doing drugs, even cannabis. See, they're all plant medicines. Used in moderation, cannabis can be very beneficial. You know, once a month in ceremony. But if you do it every day, or even every other day, but all day, I speak from experience, guys. Like, I used to smoke an ounce a week. And I would take a break, and I said, oh my God, this is so spiritual, and often I'd be brought to tears. And then I'd smoke another joint a couple hours later, and it's like, oh, now it's like alcohol, it just lowered me. See, the world is trying to keep you at a lower vibrational rate, knowing that you are a very high vibrational spiritual being. Recognize your divinity, recognize yourself for the beautiful soul that you are. You came here to make a difference. You came here to evolve. Love you guys. Take care.